Excellent. Hey, welcome listeners. My name is Servan from Conscious Innovation, and this is the House of Trust series aimed at people who love to invest in social change. We know that when there is more trust, we can think better, design better strategies, build better practice, and then grow authentic connections and amplify our impact. So we have the why, we have the what, and we need more how. How do we do this? And how is what I'm asking all my guests on this series and these videos that you can watch today. So today I'm thrilled to welcome Vivian Rubia Ferreira from ICE in Brazil. She's calling from Toronto. And ICE stands for Instituto de Cidadania Empresarial. Yes.
Entrepreneurship, Citizenship Entrepreneur Institute.
Entrepreneurial Citizenship Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from our brief collaboration together, one quality that I've noticed in you is beyond your ability to convene people in really impressive ecosystem building programs. It's also your appetite to discover new angles to grow the social entrepreneurship ecosystem, and also your curiosity. And so Vivian, to introduce yourself, I wonder, can you tell us what's your line of work and where you work and what you explore in your day-to-day work?
Oh, thank you, Servani. Thanks to create this dialogue and to bring Latin America and Brazil to this discussion. The global South is important to be represented in this kind of conversation. So thank you very much. So I'm Vivian, I'm from Brazil. I would say that I am a social impact professional. I start my career fundraising for different organizations in the social sector. Maybe my view of the social sector is a little bit more complete because the different work that I had during my career. So I started fundraising in organizations with one organization with work in the Amazon, in the Brazilian Amazon, especially in rural areas. And then in the last years, especially in 2014, I joined to ICE to work, especially to strengthen the ecosystem of impact investing and the social impact business, or in British social enterprise in Brazil. So this experience created what I understand about the world and what I understand about trust too. I think when I was thinking about this conversation, I said, whoa, I never stopped to think about it, but there is so important happenings or things in my career that is very connected with this idea of trust and creating trust in terms of ecosystem or in communities.
Thanks, Vivian. So just to get us started and to clarify, what is your definition of trust?
Ooh, it's the good questions. I think a little bit about it. I think there is an institutional view about trust. Considering my work at ICE, I think we were very influenced about the idea of a collective impact. The idea that we need as a social organization work together to consider that we are living in complex problems and you need to create solutions, not considering just our institutional agenda, but considering the nature, the complexity of that problem. So I believe this idea of creating projects in dialogue with several organizations, guarantee participation, guarantee dialogue with different organizations, different actors, multi-stakeholder projects, creating a common view of the agenda. Today, ICE is one organization in Brazil that sometimes map the innovations and map the gaps that you had you should address in the social impact business ecosystem, and how to address those challenges. So I think to create this view is in nature of our job. So I think one big reference is this idea of collective impact and how to do it. And the second one, it's a little bit more philosophical, and for me, it's something that inspired me a little bit. I was thinking about trust these days, and I remembered some months ago, I read the book of Bell Hooks, All About Love. And it's a very beautiful book. And in one part of the book, she connected the idea of trust and the idea of love. And she said that we need to create a new idea of what is love, and not this idea, romantic idea that we have women is waiting for a prince. This is not love, but we need to create a sense of what she calls like love ethic. And this love ethic is a feeling that enables us to create equality, justice, well-being in the society. And trust is one component, one ingredient of this culture of love ethic to create this community as human being. And for me, when I remember this book, I said, oh, for me, this is trust. I believe it's very connected with the idea of collective impact, because we are talking about participation, we are talking about horizontality, no manipulation, equality, justice. So I think my conceptual framework is you can consider both definitions, not mine, but something that inspired me to understand what is trust.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So I'm hearing a lot about the guaranteeing dialogue, bringing a love ethics, believing in a collective impact. And when all this is connected, it underpins the work you do at ICE, right?
Yes, yes. And I think the work of all social movement, I think social movement and organization working in the impact area should to be some kind of this kind of conceptual frame to address the challenge they are trying.
Of course, the social movements are even more fluid and not constrained with legal framework necessarily. They're fluid, they're moving, they're dancing, and they're bringing people along when they can, losing some on the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in your work, now we know that concept and the love, the guaranteeing dialogue, collective impact, which makes trust. I wonder, what obstacles are you facing along the way?
What? Sorry?
What obstacles are you facing?
Obstacles. Whoa, several of them.
Do you have a couple?
It's not a simple idea. Sometimes we are in the middle of a process and I said, why we start to do it? It's so challenging sometimes to put someone in the same position to discuss, but for me is a vision that this is the best way to do the things. I think sometimes when we are talking about the social agenda, sometimes what is challenging is sometimes to understand that we are in different positions, and all organizations sometimes engaged in a same project has their political decision, have their own view. Sometimes they have their own agenda, and sometimes it's not an easy, it's not so simple to understand that sometimes I have to open hand to don't do what I was planning to do, to understand what is the most important for the group, for the project we are creating together. Something I think is not the simple decisory process or the governance necessary to guarantee equality, good conversations, dialogue is not so simple. And organizations sometimes needs to create capabilities to do it. It's not, it's a learning journey sometimes.
So I'm here that the key point here is that when you want to bring a group together to in the pursuit of a common purpose, they all come with different speed, different paces, different obstacles, different mindset, and it's very difficult to align everybody along the way to get to that purpose. So what do you think has removed some of the obstacles along the way when you gathered people? For instance, we worked together on that, all these social incubators and social entrepreneurship incubators. How do you bring them together? What do you think has worked to really removing some obstacles there?
Yeah, I think sometimes is to create to listen each other. So I think sometimes the problem is when you are considering that we are in a dialogue, but it's a monologue. You are just in a conversation, including your points, but not listen the other one. I think the best way for me is to put everyone to create this space for active listening, to maintain the attention in this, and it's not easy, but there is no, it's the only way. There is no way without this to guarantee this. I think the main obstacles in the project that I saw, it was solved when we sit together, sometimes working directly one by one, sometimes it's not so simple, and sometimes to develop this ability to facilitate this process. To have, it's important to have one organization that you use here. We don't translate yet the concept of a backbone organization. This organization sometimes who are doing this job of connecting the dots, of understand where the obstacles are and what kind of obstacle. I think someone needs to have this view of the whole thing, and then try to address, sometimes together, sometimes one by one, and to create this alignment. Sometimes alignment need to be created in one by one actor, especially in multi-stakeholder projects.
So I'm hearing like the listening skills and the deep listening can ignite processes that bring more trust, be more collaborations, yes, and alignment. Fantastic. So Vivian, is there anything else that you want to add, a story that is connected to trust that really comes to mind?
Yeah, I think I have two. I try to be very short. The first one is in 2016, we are here in Brazil. We diagnosed, we analyzed that there were few foundations and corporate institutes engaged in support social enterprise or impact investment ecosystem. And it was challenging because around the world, foundations, and here in Brazil have the corporate institute or institute created by companies. And these organizations could have an important role to structure, to create the infrastructure to have a more social enterprise prepared to generate social impact. And we have some issues in terms of regulations, in terms of education, but the one important issue, it's these organizations, these foundations and institutes don't understand a lot what is to invest in the impact investing and social enterprise ecosystem. It's a new subject. They are operating their own projects, or they are making grants. Sometimes they are grant making. And then we started a lab, social innovation lab, and we put together these foundations, presented this scenario and said, oh, this is the problem that we have and face. And we want to create together a solution. And they decided to create a prototype to invest together. And they, at this time, the idea is to invest a small part of their budget just to understand what is the meaning of investing, who are the actors could receive this money, and how we create, and the idea is to create this learning journey together, this group of foundations. And it starts in a small group, and the results 2 years before was 2 rounds of investments, around 1.5 million mobilized, to 12 and 2 foundations involved and engaged. And it was the first, today, 32% of the foundations in Brazil invested to infrastructure or directly in business, in this kind of support for the social enterprise. Well, I think it's an example of how you can do it in a small scale. And now we are creating a coalition with some of these foundations in a big project, considering a new volume of resources, around 20 million reais to invest in the ecosystem. So we can start small and then to have a view of the future.
It's like it sounds like a bit like a relationship building. Like first there is some investment in a get to know each other, and then see if there is affinity, a bit of love going on, and who are these people you are sitting at the table with. That's interesting. Yeah. So in investing in the getting to know each other can get some great outcomes.
Yeah. And the last one, very quickly, when I said that I worked in the Amazon, and there is a cultural ingredient. When I started in this organization, one recommendation that I received was, don't arrive in a community, in a rural community, wearing sunglasses, for example. You need to look people in the eyes, face to face. You need to guarantee this quality of a conversation. And more than that, you need to create this trust. This trust is not something that we arrive there and it's solved. You need to create this relationship with the community. And when I arrived there, sometimes I saw the values of the organization and the recommendations, but I didn't understand how I can do it in the real world. And I went to the community. I could see how it's important to see people on their eyes, and how we can create this trust directly working with people, considering that when we are in a community, we are offering something and receive some things. When I worked in these communities, especially in the Amazon, I understand the idea of a cultural exchange, how you can offer and receive. And for me, this is trust. One day, the founder of this organization finished a train that she offered in a community, and someone arrived and offered a gift. When she saw it, it was an ID, the document. And she said, why ID? Oh, it's the only photograph that I have at home, and I want to offer you because I needed you remember that you were here and you give me something important. And for me, this is the meaning of trust, the trust you are creating in the social sector.
Oh, wonderful. What a brilliant story. Thank you, Vivian, so much for your insights and you know, how you related your own journey within Brazil, which is also a collection of different communities, a very strong cultural differences, and how that translates into trust. This was beautiful to hear. And I pay tribute again to your curiosity, your curious mind, and your attentiveness, attention to learning new things. That was a pleasure to have you on board today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.